The Detroit Lions are this year's version of America's team. Yeah, that's right, I said it. And while we're on the subject of America's team, the Cowboys shouldn't own that moniker. In fact, it should be fluid. Why the Lions, you say? Well, for starters, they are underdogs who got it out the mud with a coach in Dan Campbell that pretty much everybody doubted when he took the job, and a team that hasn't done anything in the postseason in a long while until this year. Now, America's team should be an underdog. It shouldn't be the big dog. Hell, we're the greatest underdog and comeback story of all time. We were down 13 colonies to England and came back and got the dub. Shout out my guy, George Washington. Now, Detroit's a city that needed this badly, and they haven't been this excited since Eminem dropped his first LP. Now, this weekend, they will once again be underdogs as they go play an absolutely loaded San Francisco 49ers team. And I know the 49ers struggled against a hot Packers team last weekend. They were still able to get the dub. And to be frank, the only thing crappier than San Fran's performance last week was the sidewalks outside of the stadium when everyone was leaving. And they were still able, like I said, to find a way to win. It's versatility, bestility there is. Now, I don't expect another down performance from that group, especially since the weather should be much better for Brock Purdy and his carnival-sized hands. And I highly doubt the Lions secondary will be able to handle the 49ers skill position players as well as they did last week against the Buccaneers, who were still able to find some success late in that game. Thank goodness for that anytime touchdown bet for Mike Evans. Now, I hope I'm wrong. And personally, I am going to be rooting for the Detroit Lions, who are without a doubt the embodiment of what America's team should really be. Speaking about embodiment.
Yes.
He's got 9.5 feet of body. David Cohn.
Huge. I grew.
Former Michigan quarterback. My brother, y'all know what day it is. It's Friday. He's on my right. Play it.
Tell him, son.
This is flaming chocolate.
Tell him, son.
Ninja.
Don't use my Govey. All right? Don't use my Govey.
What's it at? Do we know what it's at?
1.5.
1.5.
1.5.
We have not gone over.
I'm pretty sure last week y'all threw a no-hitter.
It was a perfect game.
Perfect game.
It was a perfect game.
Yeah.
If you don't know, if you're just joining us,
walks in there.
Welcome to Crane and Company. Hit that subscribe button. Rumble, YouTube, Daily Wire, whatever. But I cannot say his government name. I have to refer to him as Flaming Dragon, or as we like to call him, Flaming.
No.
Or some have even said Flamer, but I'm not going to go
Really?
there.
Chad, I appreciate y'all agreeing with me that Reacher sucks. I appreciate it.
Really? Is that the poll today?
You know what
It's
that
like
means? That means one person said it.
Is that the poll?
No, the poll today is what teams reached the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That means one person said they didn't like it, and he's the whole show.
You know, you always got to be against me, David.
Well, look, we've heard the word collusion thrown around.
Really?
Insurrection thrown around. What's
Really?
going on over there with Flaming Dragon in the chat? To me,
Look, it's 1v2 every time I get on this show.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's fine.
That's a lie.
I'll Jon Snow this thing.
But
okay, well then who else taking the Lions then? We're talking about the Lions. Are you taking
You're
the Lions?
taking the Lions.
I'm taking the Lions, and
I'm
the
not.
line
We're
went
taking
up,
the Lions?
fellas.
I'm not.
It's plus 270 now on the money line.
What? So, what do the Lions have to do, David, to be able to beat?
It's quite simple. They need to score more points.
Win the game.
They have to score more
That
points.
analysis.
All right, that's great
That
analysis.
analysis.
Let's move
love
on.
this Lions team, man. Jared Goff never hung his head when he got traded from the Rams. He came in, he went right to work. He's all about his business. You got thunder and lightning at running back with Montgomery, and they brought in Jahmyr Gibbs. Jake, you and I were talking about the pick at 12. Look, so far it's been working out. The wide receiver core, you got the core, you got three guys can give it to you. Amon-Ra St. Brown can score from anywhere on the field. Sam Laporta's out here breaking rookie records at tight end. Hyperextends his knee, plays the next week.
Ugh.
I know their defense isn't awesome, but they know who they are at least. They know their strength. They know their weaknesses. They play within that. And Dan Campbell, I mean, who else do you want to get fired up before a game? He makes the risky calls to me at the right times. You know, like when it's not the feel, yeah, not just going for it on fourth down or going for 2-point conversions, just to do that because he thinks that makes him look good as a risk taker, as a head coach. He does it a lot of times and he rides that line, but there's also moments where he coaches within himself. I don't know, this team, I just love this team, and you're going to go up against the best roster in the NFL. What more could you ask for a conference championship game?
I think this game, if the Lions are going to win, it is going to come down to pass rush. Their pass rush going against the 49ers.
Okay.
I just do not believe that the 49ers, not that they were just god-awful, right, last week against the Packers, and the Packers were hot. We saw what they did to the Cowboys, but it is the Cowboys in the playoffs. But when I look at this San Francisco team, they're so complete in all three phases. I know Moody has struggled a little bit kicking this year, but I still believe in him. But when you look at this team, I just think there's a very low chance that they get a average or below average performance like we saw last week, and they were able to get away with it. And I've always said, when your playoff life or your postseason life flashes before your eyes, especially early in the playoffs, it's amazing how, not that you weren't taking it serious before, but how that kind of revs up your engine to play well. And in that same token, and again, I hope I'm wrong, I am rooting for the Lions. I will tell you that. I don't think the Lions defense, especially the secondary, is going to be able to contain what the 49ers have in their diverse cupboard of weapons they have, from tight end to wide receiver to Christian McCaffrey, what he can do at running back and then out in the slot. I just don't see that coming to fruition, and the weather's going to be better, which obviously helps out Brock Purdy.
That's huge.
But if that Lions pass rush can get to Brock Purdy, you can somewhat negate what goes on in the back end. And I do think the Lions are talented enough on offense. And Flaming Dragon, I think you made a good point the other day. If you line up and run it right at the 49ers, to me, that's one of their weaknesses in the box. And you wouldn't think that with who they have. And the Lions can do that. So to me, that's the formula, and you're going to have to catch a couple breaks, I think.
Let me ask one question since you brought up pass rush. The Lions have done this throughout the season, and they did a little bit last week against the Bucs. They'll line Aiden Hutchinson up inside, right? I mean, I know it helps create stunts, and you're trying to get any advantage that you can, but with the strength of the San Francisco 49ers having such a great offensive line, you got Trent Williams out there, do you think they'll line Aiden Hutchinson up more inside to sort of get some of those TED stunts and things like that to get
on passing downs, on predictable passing downs, you're going to put in your, we used to call it the cheetah package, your pass rush package, but you got to get there, right?
But if you don't get home, does it come off as, man, you wasted an opportunity, just let him try and win off the edge?
Well, I think you got to do a little bit of everything. I don't think there's one solid answer here, or just, one ingredient to put in the recipe. I think you got to throw multiple things at him, not just to confuse Brock Purdy, but to try and get that offensive line to take that one bad step. Now, getting to third and passing is going to be tough with the weapons that they have. That's half the battle. You line Aiden up inside sometimes, because again, you can line him up inside and he ends up outside on the stunts like you're talking about. I think it's got to be a mixed bag. But the Lions, whether it's trying to get there with 4, which is the best case scenario, or having to bring 5, you green dog somebody with the back, hey, you're going unless, the back stays in, you're going, back goes out, you're staying out. It's got to be a mixed bag, but they're going to have to catch some breaks. But man, when you look at the Lions, they've caught the breaks they've needed to catch so far. They kind of feel a little bit like a team of destiny. I just have a hard time believing, with the balance that the 49ers have in all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams, and the holes that the Lions still have defensively, it's going to be tough. But look, man, I hope they get it done.
God, look, I want the Lions to win this football game. I do. At this point, are the Lions America's team, or is anybody who plays the Chiefs America's team? That's what the debacle I am. But I mean, if you're the Lions, the first thing you have to stop is Christian McCaffrey.
Good luck.
I know, but the first thing you have to stop, if you're going to kill me with something, you're not going to kill me with Christian McCaffrey. Beat me with George Kittle. Do we know if Debo Samuel's playing?
I still haven't heard.
Still questionable. Brandon Ayuk, we know what the pieces that have the best roster. But
he didn't practice yesterday.
He didn't?
He did not.
Okay. I do think the Lions right now, and the way they're built and the way they're playing, are going to keep this game close. I think they're making plays in the secondary, but it's just Brock Purdy is going to have all day in the pocket. And on the other side, Jared Goff is going to have to make a lot of plays to win this football game. I think the 49ers win this football game because they're just a better roster in the secondary for the Lions. It's not great, but I do think the Lions keep it close.
Yeah,
I really
I agree with that.
Okay, so it does sound, he was limited. So
okay,
he did some drills.
Debo's going to play.
Limited, did some drills in yesterday's practice. We'll see what happens today. I agree with you. He's going to take snaps. Of course, that just begs the question of how effective can he be. But look, they have plenty of pieces. They have plenty of other pieces. Even though you did see in the middle of a game plan when Debo Samuel went down, I think that kind of threw Kyle Shanahan off. You could tell there were plays that were designed to go to Debo Samuel. Kyle Shanahan loves that play sheet. I think that threw them off in the middle of a game. Now that they're going in knowing how limited he may or may not be, they'll be a little more prepared for that.
Yeah, well, he's a guy that you're kind of built to do different things with. You can line him up at running back. Obviously, he can play inside. He can play outside. He can do a little bit of everything. He's really good on the jet sweep. He's good on the reverse. And you have a lot of plays that are packaged for him. So when he goes out, obviously that does take a a arrow out of your quiver. But the good news for the San Francisco 49ers is just reach back there. There's 6 more. Hey, YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, or Blaine's going to turn into a dragon. And we all know what happened at King's Landing.